Hey, well, good morning or good afternoon or good evening, depending on what time it is you're watching this. I just decided that I'd like to start doing some more of these videos. Some of you guys expressed that you really enjoyed them during the Passion Week, so I'm going to just take kind of thinking, things God just are speaking to me at the time. This morning, I want to talk to you about what God spoke to me in my morning devotions from Joshua 1. Now, I've heard this. Especially Joshua 1:9, it says, be strong and courageous. Do not be afraid or discouraged, for the Lord your God is with you wherever you go. My kids, when they were little, they sang a little song, and this is a passage that, is very, very familiar to me. My family and I, we've been reading through Deuteronomy right now, and I've gotten a little ahead of them on my daily devotions, as we're not able to meet every day necessarily. At times we get behind, so there are a few chapters behind on what we discussed in our devotions. Well, at the end of Deuteronomy, it actually, Moses gives the commandment to Joshua, be strong and courageous. This is something that we see Moses has said to Joshua, and now we see in Joshua 9, Joshua 9, but Joshua 1, Joshua giving that, what he has received, he's giving that to the Israel people as they prepare to cross the Jordan River and take the promised land that God's given them. What I didn't realize, and just kind of, I've read this before, but obviously never stood out to me. I was telling Doris the other day, because I was reading that in Deuteronomy where Moses commissions Joshua, thinking about how Joshua uses that later on. And then I was reading in 1 Corinthians, I think is 15, and it says in there, be strong and courageous. And I just told Doris, I said, man, I'm wondering what God's got planned for me. He keeps kind of having this message. Well, then today I'm reading, so I get through Deuteronomy, obviously going to Joshua. I'm going in order here. I start reading, and this is what it says. So starting in verse 6, it says, be strong and courageous, for you are the one who will lead these people to possess all the land I swore to your ancestors I would give them. So saying, be strong, courageous, because you are called. As I was saying about that, I was like, I know God's called me, and I know God's called each and every one of us. Now, whether we understand or know exactly what that calling is yet to be seen, but what God's telling us, we need to be strong and courageous because he has called us, meaning he has prepared you, he's prepared me, he's prepared us to go and fulfill what it is that he desires for us to do. So we don't have to worry about the hows, the wins, the whys. We just have to be obedient, and we have to be strong and courageous in the fact that he's called us. So that's verse 6 and 7. Then it goes on to that's verse 6. Verse 7, it continues on. Be strong and courageous. Be careful to obey all the instructions Moses gave you. And as I was reading about that, I was like, it goes on to talk about, reading and studying the book of the instructions, meaning the Pentateuch, the law, studying that. And, how would we apply that to our lives today? Well, we need to study the Word of God, especially the New Testament. I think it's very important as Christians that we study the life of Jesus and the teachings of the disciples. So why be strong, courageous? Why is this set here? Well, I believe to follow God, you have to be strong and courageous. To be obedient, to fulfill, to go and do what God has called us to do, to live the life God's called us to live. We have to be strong and courageous to do that. It is not, I want to clarify the word courageous, or it comes from the word courage. And a lot of people think the courage is the absence of fear, and that is not the case at all. In fact, without fear, you can't have courage. What courage is facing fear, facing fear, or facing a situation even though you have fear, even though you're scared, you do it anyway. You do what's right regardless if there's fear or not. Sorry, I kind of stumbled through that. But ultimately it means I'm scared, but yet I'm still going to do it. That's courageous. It's not saying there's something to be scared of and I'm not scared of it. That's just foolishness. And there's no bravery, there's no courage in something like that. So but to follow Christ, to live out his desired life he has for us, we have to be strong and courageous. If we're not, then we will succumb to the things of the world. We'll compromise. We'll take and say, we can just do this much and not the full thing. So be strong because you're called. Be strong and courageous to obey, because we need that strength and that courage to obey. And then lastly, like I mentioned, be strong. Be strong and courageous. Do not be afraid. Do not be discouraged, for the Lord your God is with you wherever you go. Why else be strong and courageous? Because God is with you. There's a movie called Prince Caspian. It's off of a book by C.S. Lewis that does the Chronicles of Narnia. It's an allegory of Christ and our relationship with him. Great books, good movies. But in the movie, there's a scene from Prince Caspian where this whole army was about to cross this bridge. One way to get across, or two ways. Either you had to wade through a fairly deep river, or you had the bridge you could cross over. Well, the army started to cross this bridge, and you see this little girl. Her name's Lucy, and all she has is a dagger. I mean, it's about that long, little dagger, and she's walking on the middle of the bridge, and you see the whole army stop, and then they start backing up, and then it shows Lucy, with the dagger, and you're thinking, what? And then all of a sudden it pans around, and you see that not only is Lucy got her dagger, but standing right behind her is Aslan, which is symbolic of Jesus, and it's this huge lion. Of course, it wasn't Lucy with the dagger that they were scared of. It was Aslan. It was Jesus that was with her. The fact is we can be bold. We can be strong and courageous because not of who we are, not the power that we possess, but the power that's in us. The Jesus that's in us has empowered us to do his work. And then I love the end of the chapter. The very last sentence is, so be strong and courageous. Through all this, be strong and courageous. Another verse in the Bible, and forgive me, I didn't grab it earlier, but it says, when you've done everything to stand against the powers of this world, stand. Meaning, if you do everything you can, you will stand. I think, if you are strong and courageous, if you determine to be strong and courageous, regardless of your own abilities, regardless of your shortcomings, regardless of your fears, regardless of any of that, you will be strong and courageous. So, hey, take that word. Be blessed today. Hope to do this a little more often. And let me know if you guys enjoy this. If not, then I'll just stop. It's all right. But I love being able to share what God's speaking to me. Blessings, guys.